Hello everyone, I'm Sam from the Spawn Room, and I was just going through some of my notes and I decided to make a few short videos called the eSports FAQ. Just a little bit of knowledge that I got while I was involved in eSports that I want to share with you. So the first one is, how do I get involved in eSports? And this is more from the player's perspective. So the first thing to do is just pick a game you love. I think, like for someone like me, I've always been really into playing lots of different games. It's hard for me to just settle on one, but if you really want to get involved in the competitive side, you gotta pretty much just pick the one title that you really love. You can play other stuff, but you need your main title, the thing that you're doing like almost all of the time. Um, Once you do that, it's pretty much about playing as often as possible and getting exposure, finding people to play with, and complete immersion. So you're going to want to, it can be a bit overwhelming. There's lots of different tournaments, there's lots of forums and stuff. Just settle with like one thing. Maybe if you want to get involved in Counter-Strike, just become part of the ESEA community. Don't worry about all the other stuff you might be missing out on. Just focus on like one thing to really get some exposure in. Maybe go check out CEVO and just be like a CEVO guy. You join those tournaments, you find a team on the CEVO forums. I think they even have a team finder thing now. Become friends with them. Find people to follow on Twitter. Even if you just find like a couple guys that tweet a lot and they know their shit, and just follow them. Don't really focus on all the organizations and all the other streamers or something like that. Just find a couple guys to really kind of follow, get your feet wet, and figure things out. The other thing, follow live events and streaming and get an idea for like what the communities are like. Don't just be a player. You got to try and expose yourself to like what is esports, what is competitive gaming, how do these minds think? Do I think like them? What do they do that I don't do? You try and learn that way. And a good way to do that is to watch live events or watch streamers and just see like how are they playing. Which also brings me to watching like demos and pros play. That's one of the best things I ever did for like realizing that I actually kind of suck at the competitive side of games and getting better was watching the professionals play and then getting your ego out of the way. Like a lot of times you might like yell and be like, "What? Why did he do that? That was so stupid. Oh, that was such a big mistake." These are professionals. Yes, they do make mistakes, but you should never assume that they made a mistake because that's the minority percentage. They probably make mistakes like 10% of the time, 5% of the time. If you think they made a mistake, they were probably doing something intentional, and maybe a part of it was a mistake, but you shouldn't even focus on that. Instead, you should be like, "What? Why did he do that? What don't I know? What don't I know about what he just did? Because he just did something, it seemed like a mistake, but it probably was actually strategic." That's how you get your ego out of the way and you can start to actually figure stuff out. So yeah, get into the tournaments, try and meet people, start studying strategy. One of the things with strategy too is don't even focus on strategy for your game because you'll probably be compelled by it, but focus on strategy overall. What some people don't get, I think, is that strategy is an underlying concept. There isn't like StarCraft strategy and Counter-Strike strategy, and they're all totally separate from one another. There are different mechanics and different specifics, but underlying that there is the fundamental strategy, the strategy that works in StarCraft and Counter-Strike and like real life war and taking over countries and stuff. That is like one thing. So figure out what strategy is, and then that's where you really learn like the conceptual stuff that you can just apply to anything you do. And lastly, just fall in love with your game. If you're finding it a struggle to become like awesome at your game, maybe it's not actually your game. Maybe you think you love Counter-Strike, but you actually love TF2. Or maybe you love a game you haven't even tried yet. Maybe you've been like ripping on MOBAs and you're like, God, that Dota 2 League of Legends crap, like I'm never gonna love that. maybe you would love it way more than the game you're playing right now. You just haven't tried it, and or maybe you tried it and you're like, oh, this sucks. Give it a better shot. Try and like it, get to the well, do they have like max levels, or I guess get to like 100 hours of playtime or something like that before you really judge it. Or at least get good at it where you're like better than all your friends, and then you can make a good assessment. And sometimes you just need to take a break, right? Like sometimes playing like a ton of a game, you just need to step away and not even play games. Go outside and go for a bike ride. Take a break for like even a week or something like that. That might seem like a long time, but sometimes that's what you need to just clear your head, learn a little bit about yourself, reflect on what you've been doing. Sometimes, like a lot of times in life actually, when you take a step away for like a week or something, it's like an opportunity for you to think about what you've been doing with your life. And you can get kind of deep with it and figure out stuff like, you know what, like I don't actually like this game, or I've been approaching this game from this angle and this is like totally my ego is getting in the way, or I've been playing with the wrong people. My team, like I thought they were great, but now that I think about it, we're just bickering all the time, and maybe I just need to find a new team and I'll love my game again or something. So try and work that in. Play a different game for a little bit, test it out. So that's pretty much should cover like the basics of getting involved in esports, how to train for your game, and hopefully it works so for you, because I think esports is pretty badass. So I'm gonna make a couple other videos. I'm gonna do one on casting, supporting esports, and then is competitive gaming considered a sport? So just a few random notes I came across, and you can check them out if you want at the channel. Thanks, see ya.